Well, another hot and humid day here in central and eastern Kentucky on this Tuesday, especially here in the bluegrass, low 90s. Those dew points a bit higher as well. A few scattered storms now, and those will be in play for the first day of school for Fayette County coming up on Wednesday. I think more so during the afternoon. Good news looking down the road, drying out, but it's going to be heating up again this weekend, and those heat index values, we haven't had to worry too much about those so far here in August, but I think they're going to be a little bit more impactful by the weekend and beyond. Viper radar showing a fairly healthy cluster of storms running from Georgetown to the Kentucky Horse Park over to Centerville there in the southern part, Bourbon County, and then running along I-64, Winchester down into southern Clark County. Torrential downpours, a little bit of lightning, even some activity along the interstate northeastern Fayette County, south side of Cave Run Lake, basically from Frenchburg into northeastern Menifee County, and a few storms still dotting the landscape into parts of Bell and Harlan counties. Not a whole lot of coverage as expected, but more than what we've had the last couple of days. Notice the activity earlier this morning that created some cloud cover that really held temperatures in check for our southern counties. And boy, look at all the lightning with the storms out to our west and northwest here. That's ahead of that frontal boundary. Checking out the courthouse here in Mount Sterling, Montgomery County, where, of course, temperatures are pretty warm along the I-64 corridor, not counting near Hyman up on the hilltop. It is 81 there, thanks to those aforementioned clouds. Notice the low 80s there, only 77, a little bit of rain in the area there in Williamsburg. Meanwhile, upper 80s to around 90. I mentioned dew points higher today, low, even a few mid-70s. So that's putting our heat index values here in the bluegrass into the mid, even a few upper 90s here and there. That frontal boundary out to the west is going to move in, and it will put on the brakes. And as that happens, that's going to keep the chances for scattered storms around into the midweek. Maybe a brief break during the overnight. Can't rule out one or two around the area. Low 70s, so warm and muggy for the kiddos out the door tomorrow morning. Now, it may not be raining early, but a little better chance of those storms firing up the deeper we get into the afternoon. So your bus stop forecast in the morning, can't rule out, again, a few showers, I think mainly dry, but heading home, make sure and send the rain gear along with the kiddos because they're probably going to need it. And anything that develops, given the amount of moisture you see very, very humid out there, could produce some localized heavier rainfall, so some downpours with it. Now that front eventually weakens, kind of washes out over the area. We'll hang on to the storm chances on Thursday, and then we begin to see those diminish heading into the day on Friday. So we're going to kind of peak things out as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. And then notice the weekend. It looks dry, but there's a bit of a trade-off because high pressure, that provides the sinking air. But we're going to heat things up as a result with the lack of much in the way of cloudiness and or storms. And with the humidity around, combine that with the heat, that may put us over the century mark as far as the heat index values are concerned. And then we'll see and maybe an isolated storm or two begin to come back into the picture into early next week. Obviously, the activity we've got out there now will diminish, mainly dry overnight. Can't rule out an isolated storm or two. Warm, muggy 72 tomorrow, partly cloudy, few scattered storms, more numerous during the afternoon. 87 the high in the extended forecast here. Notice how we dry things out as we get into the upcoming weekend, but we heat it up mid-90s, and again, could feel like temperatures at or above the 100-degree mark with those 90s sticking around into the early part of next week.